Hey YouTube, it's Lukemick and Tyler, and we're going to give you our very honest review on Skyfall. We'll just start out with the story just to make things clear. Basically, in the beginning opening action scene, which is very well done by the way, James Bond is supposedly killed and he's gone missing and MI6 doesn't know where he is. So as they're just dealing with stuff and dealing with his death, M is kind of being taunted by this cyber terrorist who is messing around with things at MI6 and is hacking them, and it turns out to be the one and only Javier Bardem. And basically, as you probably know, Bond comes back to save the day, and that's pretty much the whole base of the story and what's happening. The opening credits were, the way all the artsy stuff in there it just looked really cool, and the whole Adele song, it fit in really nicely, and it just sounded like a classic Bond song, and it felt perfect, basically, is what I'm trying to say. It was really good, and it's something to be admired.
Yeah, one of the best, I've only seen a few of them, but one of my favorite ones, just everything looked nice, and the song, like Luke said, definitely fit in with everything that was going on.
Another key element in this movie is the character development. There's a lot of backstory with, almost all the characters.
Yeah, especially James Bond. I don't know if you want to keep going with that. Yeah, James Bond, a lot more on his parents. Like I said, I haven't seen all of them, so I don't know if they mentioned that in the other ones.
I don't believe they have ever gone that deep into his history. I mean, you have a great director behind this film, Sam Mendes, director of American Beauty. It goes pretty deep in M. A lot of the story actually surrounds her, so there's obviously a lot of things developing with her, and most of it is really about the relationship between 007 and M and what they've been through together, and just they know each other so well now. The movie is just a lot about their relationship. Also, Javier Bardem's character is really creepy. He was one of the best Bond villains in a long time, and yeah, I just thought the casting was really good in this movie as well. The casting was great.
Yeah, the opening when, maybe you've seen it from the trailer, but that's when I first met him. When he comes down the elevator and he first meets Bond, just, his dialogue and what he says to Bond, and just that, in the first 2 minutes is just, really interesting, and it's, it's really cool, and it's kind of creepy the way he says it, so.
Yeah, he gives you a nice story to think about throughout the rest of the movie. It was really well done. The pacing is, right on. It's on the ball. There's nothing wrong with it. I was never bored. I loved this whole entire movie. There was nothing that made me kind of want to shut my eyes for a bit, you could say. I just thought the whole thing had me it felt like I was in the movie. It was so good.
Yeah, right when let's just say it got a little slow, but it never really did, but right when it got to that point, when it was let's just say 10 to 15 minutes of dialogue, and then all of a sudden a huge action scene came up, and then it would just kind of go back from there 15, 20 minutes, and then another action scene. So everything felt perfect, and everything that happened was well done.
The action scenes in this movie were set up beautifully. The motorcycles in the opening scene was set up so well. It was much better than the Bourne Legacy's whole motorcycle montage at the end. The camera was actually
yeah, it was out, so you could see both of them instead of just one, just
in the face,
Yeah, a few times they did one flying by, but really it was just you got to see both of them.
Yeah.
One of them comes and another one, but it was a far angle, so everything looked nice and clean. None of that Bourne Legacy bullcrap.
You got to see a lot of the action, and it was really clear on what was going on, and that makes the movie a lot more fun to watch.
Yeah, and another thing is that sometimes it gets me, I don't know, you can't really tell which one's which, but they were wearing different color suits, so that was kind of helpful,
Yeah.
So you could see which one was actually which, when it got to the hand-in-hand combat.
The acting in this movie was superb. Obviously, Daniel Craig and Judi Dench did a great job, as they always have in the Bond movies. All the actors just seemed to work really well together. Javier Bardem was also amazing. As I said before, one of the best Bond villains I've ever seen. I don't know the girl's name, but she also did very well. I think this might be one of her first movies. Maybe, don't quote me on that, but she also just did very well. Everybody did a great job.
Yeah, I felt like there could be some Academy Award nominations for some of the bigger characters like Javier Bardem and Daniel Craig for sure.
There's just one thing that I didn't like about the movie, but it's not even that big of a deal. As you may know if you've seen any of my other recent videos, I am not a fan of CGI. I hate it, especially when they use it in a horror movie. That's one thing. CGI in horror movies just does not work, and it makes it look cheap and it just makes it look cheap. It looks terrible. And also in action movies like this, like, the thing is, what they did with the CGI in this, like, it's okay with, like, a backdrop or whatever, or, like, a building falling down. I mean, you kind of need to use that, but when they use, basically they had, what was that, a Komodo dragon or whatever?
Yeah, it was, let's just say a lizard, big lizard.
It was a big lizard in this one part because he's in, like, Shanghai or something in a portion of the movie. And I think they used the actual lizard in some parts, but then in other parts you could tell that it was CGI. I just don't like that. It just looks so cheap and it just doesn't look real, and it just really gets to me. I don't like it.
Right when I saw the lizard, I was just like, oh boy, Luke's not gonna like this, but I really didn't. I didn't like that at all. It kind of ruined the scene for me. I don't know, just kind of that when.
Yeah, I mean, the way the scene was set up, it was really cool because, as you may know, he has that gun that he can only use, and that element's kind of worked into it where another guy's trying to use his gun, and it was really cool the way they set it up, but the freaking iguana was just like, it just looked too cheesy within everything. The final thing I kind of want to mention is, like, nostalgia. As I think I have mentioned in this video, I am a huge fan of James Bond. I have the whole Blu-ray collection, all that, and I've seen all the movies, and they are very fun movies, and you should just watch all of them, even if there are some kind of like time wasters in there, such as A View to a Kill, possibly Moonraker. It's been a while. Some of them just aren't very good. But it's in this movie, Sam Mendes, he threw in a lot of stuff in there from past movies. Like, obviously, they brought back the Aston Martin from Goldfinger in the Sean Connery days, which I love to see. It still had all the same gadgets on it with the ejector seat, the machine guns, all that stuff. And there's just a couple of other references to the other, like, great Bond movies.
Yeah, like I said, I've only seen like one older one, Goldfinger, and it was kind of cool to see, like, you know, the old car come back and stuff.
And I like how they added Q as a new character. I always liked Q from the originals, and I like the new take on him, the younger version of him, I guess you could say. And I think the movie just had great casting. Everyone was just perfect, and the addition of Moneypenny and all of them, I really liked that. And it even brought back some of the classic cheese from the other movies, so that made me really enjoy this film, just seeing all that old stuff come back. I thought that was really thoughtful of him to put it in there again for the fans of the originals.
Yeah, I really like seeing the old car and some of the things that they brought up about, you know, the car and what the gadgets that they used with the car, even in that short time that it was in. So I really enjoyed that.
And another thing that we forgot to mention is, in this movie, they're constantly making fun of 007 because he's, like, older now than all the other people in MI6, so they're always cracking jokes about how old he is and how he's not fit for this anymore. But he still kicks ass, so it doesn't really matter, right, Tyler?
Yeah, he still has it, you know, he still can roll around on the ground, shoot a gun pretty damn good.
Yeah, it still looks nice. And that basically sums up the whole review. This film just blew me away. I hope to God it gets nominations in the Oscars. I think it really deserves it, and it was one of the best movies I've seen this year. And I'm not just saying that. It kind of feels like one of those blockbusters, you know? Like one of the big franchises making a movie. Everyone's going to like it, like The Avengers and The Dark Knight Rises. but it's not like that at all. This movie was actually great. Great director, great actors, great casting, great action scenes. The whole thing was just amazing, and all the classic references to the older movies. I had a blast. I'm going to give it 5 out of 5 stars.
Yeah, for me, I really enjoyed kind of like what Luke said. Everything that he said, I enjoyed too, and I felt like everything just kind of went together so perfectly and so good. The dialogue was amazing, and just everything that everybody said, everything that everybody did, the gadgets and all that were phenomenal, and everything, and the actors were, out of this world. So, yeah, I'm gonna give this movie. I'm thinking a 4.75 out of 5.
All right. That just about sums it up. There's something I'm forgetting though. Shit. We're just glad to see that Daniel Craig, I believe, is signed on for another 2 movies. I think that is the perfect amount of time. Like, once he turns 50, I think that'll be it for him. I think it should be it for him, and it will be it for him. And I think that's just a good way to cut it off, because this older kind of Bond is kind of nice. It reminds me a lot of, like, the journalist and The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and of course it is Daniel Craig. He just kind of has that kind of older feeling to him now as Bond, but I think that's a good look for now. Mm-hmm. And you guys should definitely check this out. It's a must-see. Subscribe. And have a great night, everybody. I'll talk to you later.
Watch this movie. Watch this movie.
Alright, guys. I can't believe I forgot to say this. I'm very disappointed in myself, but I forgot to mention that this is, I'm not afraid to say it, the best 007 movie so far of all time. However you want to say it. Just go see it.
Alright. Okay, my opinion is that this movie was really damn good, and I just have to watch Casino Royale again because that's probably either my my number 1 or my number 2 now. But I have to definitely watch it again because that was my favorite one. So.